So, John, how is this lockdown and the lifting of restrictions different from what we saw in Shanghai?
Well, there was a chance earlier that this lockdown in Chengdu could have turned out as an example of how COVID-0 is not working. But instead, 2.5 weeks after the city lockdown at the start of September, it's lifting today. That compared to 2.5 months in Shanghai, so much shorter. There weren't the supply problems, the lack of medicine, the lack of care that we saw at times in Shanghai. And so in some ways, this has been an example of how COVID-0 can work. And obviously, I think this will be the way that the officials will spend this experience in Chengdu as a way of showing how COVID-0 can stop the virus and can save people's lives and not be too much of a strain on the economy.
So, John, does that mean we shouldn't be expecting any change to that policy even after the party congress?
So President Xi Jinping has said many times that COVID-0 has been the best policy that China could opt for. It's the best thing that China can do. It's been better than anything anybody else in the world has done. And so heading into the party congress where we expect President Xi to secure a third term in office, it seems unlikely there will be a massive change in policy going forward with how closely tied he himself personally has been to this policy.
We might be seeing a change in policy when it comes to the Biden administration and really trying to defend Taiwan from any China attack. Just tell us, John, about the state of U.S.-China relations right now.
I mean, the state of relations is pretty tense at the moment. And these comments from President Biden, he has said similar things in the past. The administration has tried to walk that back at times in the past. Obviously, the official position of the U.S. is what we call strategic ambiguity, so ambiguous in terms of if the U.S. would actually come to Taiwan's defense. Those comments from President Biden are not ambiguous, and so I think from Beijing's perspective, it's a little confusing because the U.S. is saying policy remains unchanged, but President Biden is coming out and saying the U.S. will defend Taiwan. So more difficulties ahead, it seems.
John, in terms of Beijing's response, what can we expect?
I think the most likely response is some sort of rhetorical answer to what President Biden has said. It seems unlikely, given that President Biden has made similar comments in the past, that there would be any additional escalation from the Chinese side.